Hello everyone, I am Doodlemans86 and today I am going to review a movie I've been wanting to watch for a long time, Shin Ultraman. It's 1 hour and 52 minutes, released in 2022 and 2023 in the US during theaters. It's on Amazon Prime right now, and there is no spoilers in this review, but there will be a spoiler section, and the photos I use in this video will have spoilers, so if you do not want to see spoilers, just don't look at the video and skip the spoiler section. And yeah, with that, I'm going to start the review. And so, this is a good movie. It was made by Shinji Higuchi and Hideaki Anno, who had made Shin Godzilla and Neon Genesis Evangelion. And I don't think I've ever talked about Shin Godzilla, but I liked it. And so when I saw this new Shin Ultraman being made, I was just as excited for this. I even made a video about it, and I just have to say it was well worth the wait. It was very good. So I just want to go over no spoilers right now. But it was very great. The acting was amazing. The music was so good. The action scenes were really great. The story, it's like an original Ultraman show. It was pretty good. And the effects and the CGI are actually really impressive considering it's all CG. Although there was suitmation involved, I believe, for some kaiju, but it was for the most part CGI. So the fact that they did that and on a low budget was so good. I talk about the story. So the story is basically a world where kaiju are a thing, and they have been for just a while. They've awakened, and it starts out with a showcase of monsters and the military doing something to attack, and then the SSSP is formed, which is a reference to Ultra Q, bringing back those kaiju, and they even reuse Shin Godzilla's model for Gomez, which I thought was a nice little detail. And so we open up to the SSSP fighting these kaiju, and Ultraman comes to Earth and helps Earth fight these monsters and future threats, ultimately ending in a well-made story. So I love the acting, the music, the CGI, everything. It was all done so well. I wasn't expecting something like amazing, but honestly, it was. It was really good. The references to old Ultraman shows, basically the original, it was clever. It was really good. And so with that being said, I just want to hop into a few of these kaiju as well as a few scenes, which, spoiler warning, because that's spoilers. So we have the kaiju from Ultra Q, like Gomez, Mammoth Flower, Pegula. That was very nice to see, although they're not in the movie for too long because they just die. They're killed. They're killed off screen and we see their bodies. But I didn't mind that. It was, to establish a world with that. And so you also have Naranga and Gabora, as we saw. They looked really great. We had Ultraman. Few slight differences, but he still looked like Ultraman, but different. We had Zarab, which we also saw. But we also had Mephiles. Now, that was going to come as a surprise to me, but I already said that I got the action figure and I was basically spoiled. So that would have been a cool reveal first watch, but, oh well, toys just do that. And we also got, spoiler, Zeton, which was, it was like a surprise, but not a surprise, because it's like a reimagining of the original Ultraman, so of course you needed to have him as the villain, but it was very interesting to see the way they use him, and I'll talk about that in the spoiler section. And then lastly, we got Zophie, but that was really nice. The cast of characters is great, as well as the humans. They're also really great. Our main character is Kaminaga, which is supposed to be like Shin Hayata. So I loved that. And we had his team in the SSSP, which was really great. And you got to spend time with them, so you actually got to see them at work, which was really great. So I'm very happy that we got those scenes with the monster scenes. Also, M87 was a good track. That song is very good. I think it goes very well with Shin Ultraman and the movie itself. There's also an SSSP plushie which I thought I'd point out. It looked very cute. I liked it. And I like the differences between this and Shin Godzilla. I haven't seen Shin Kamen Rider because I'm not very much of a Kamen Rider fan. I think it's interesting, but I haven't really watched anything and I don't know where to start with that series, so I haven't watched it. But Shin Godzilla was like an allegory. It was meant to put an emphasis on the government's failure to respond properly or do anything against these sort of threats. Not kaijus, but that's what Godzilla represented. He was a monster that was suffering because of its creation by humanity. And it just blows me away how they were able to capture that theme, that message, and represent it in the movie. And so when Shin Ultraman was coming out, people thought it was going to be the same thing, and obviously it wasn't. Godzilla and Ultraman are two very different things. Godzilla was always an allegory for war. He was always like this message that nuclear usage and wars have consequences, and you will suffer those consequences. And I really like that. And back then, you had Ultraman coming out just a few years later, but it was the opposite of Godzilla, where Ultraman was a symbol of hope, a good representation of humanity and what good it could do. So back then, that's what it was. And it's interesting to see it happen today now, where Shin Godzilla was like, hey, you guys gotta do something. And Godzilla was this message of death and how you could suffer consequences for your failure to do anything. And then you have Shin Ultraman coming out to say, there's good with humanity. Humanity has sins, but they can be redeemed. And the message of this movie is like hope and trust. They literally call each other buddy because Ultraman is new to Earth. He doesn't know anything. And so pretending to be a human, he evolves. See, he sees the humans evolve and sees that not everyone is bad. He sees that humans are not these ants that do nothing, that all they do is fail, and sin again. They redeem themselves. They do something. They want to help others. And through the sacrifice that he takes, the human in the beginning, Kaminaga, he takes a sacrifice and dies, but letting the little boy live, Ultraman sees that and he's just amazed. He's interested. He knows humans are good. And then you have this message of hope and trust, and it's really strong through this movie. I think they really captured it well, just like the original Ultraman. I loved to see that. So now we're gonna get into spoilers. So where do I even start? So the whole movie is like episode after episode, not one monster during each scene. It's not two monsters together. It's always, in an order. So you have Naranga, then Gabora, Zarab, Mephiles, and then Zophie Zeton. So I think that was really well done. It's a nice homage to the original. Speaking of which, Zophie, the Ultras are evil, which is interesting because in the original they were the good guys, but in this new interpretation they don't seem like bad guys, but to some extent they kind of are because they are like the law and order of the universe. And so when they see humans gathering beta technology, they're like, okay, that's that. You guys are a threat. You must be eliminated. But Ultraman, having grown up with him, he says, no, I believe there's good in humanity. And that's when all hell breaks loose. Zophie brings Zeton, which is a celestial weapon, which, by the way, is very interesting. Because before, Zeton was a weapon other aliens used, but never by Ultras. He was a bad guy. He was a meanie head. So it was interesting to see the Ultras use Zeton. But yeah, it was very nice to see that. And that final confrontation between Zeton and Ultraman was really well done. And just like in the original, he's defeated. He loses to Zeton, falls back to Earth, as Zophie just tells him to give up, stay on the sidelines, watch humanity be destroyed. There's nothing to protect. But that right there is their mini fight. So it shows how they're different views on humans conflict with each other. And by the end of the movie, Sophie realizes that maybe there is more to humanity than he first saw, which I just thought was really excellent. The theme of that is just so well done. And by the way, Ultraman creating a black hole sending Zeton to another like dimension was really interesting. And that was also interesting. The multiple mentions of the multiverse, that was interesting to say the least. I know the new Ultraman shows are not like newish. They do deal with the multiverse and other Ultramans, but I haven't caught up to that, so I'm sure there was more to that than I know. And the movie ends with Ultraman asking to be separated from the human and bringing him back, even if it means dying in the process. And Zophie, through this, sees that, wow, humans really do have something going for them. So, Zophie splits them up, Kaminaga wakes up, and the movie ends. My, what a movie. That was just so good. Do I like it more than Shin Godzilla? Yes and no, because they're both going for different things. One is about despair and loss, the other is about hope and trust. And so I think that these two movies together represent humanity as a whole. We have sin, but we can be redeemed. We can redeem ourselves and we can fight for what's best, which is just such it's so well done. It's not like I can't even have the words for it. It's just so good. It's like the original Godzilla and the original Ultraman, but in today's society, which I just thought was really sweet to see. Overall, I have to give this movie a 10 out of 10. Honestly, I loved it. I couldn't have asked for more, and it was definitely worth the watch and worth the wait. So I highly recommend you guys watch this. It's a very good movie. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all next time, and bye-bye.